Hello, this is Daniel Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. Recently, new content creator HamineroSauce, kudos for the best branding ever, did a video on whether hiring escorts is worth it. Unfortunately, his ultimate goal in the video was to recruit orgs to do joint adventures with his, and unfortunately that seemed to slant both his methodology and the options he considered towards that conclusion. In addition, he admitted that he didn't really know the reality of being a trader, so that restricted his scope of conclusions. Ultimately, he only answered the question of whether traders could hire escorts without running into the red themselves. Whether it actually made sense depends on two factors that were not considered: how often a trader is hit by pirates, and whether the 3 fighters he hired in his example would have made a difference in the results if they had. The two very true things he based his analysis on is that in order to hire protection that will really protect you is that they have to be able to make at least as much as they could make doing other things like bunkers or bounties, and that they also need to be doing things that are interesting and fun rather than just waiting for something that was likely never going to happen. He also noted that the logistics of getting to and keeping escorts and ships together in a convoy on a single shard is complicated. So, for example, mining groups turned their escorts into scouts, so they had something worthwhile and interesting to do rather than just watch someone else shoot lasers at rocks. The other noteworthy thing that HamineroSauce said was that piracy is not going to go away, and when we are speaking about actual piracy, that certainly is going to be true. But we are going to need some definitions here, and just like every other time I have done this, some snowflake is going to get hurt by all these definitions. But they are not my definitions. They are Merriam-Webster's. So if you have a problem with them, well, take it up with them. First of all, piracy is an act of robbery on the high seas. So unless there's some theft angle to what you are doing, it is not piracy. Does extortion count? Well, technically, there is a difference between robbery and extortion, but they are close enough to count. But just ramming people on the pad at Outpost for fun? Nope, that's something different. And that's called being sadistic, taking pleasure in the infliction of pain, punishment, or humiliation on others. And it's not different than the old pad rammers at Orison or the pad rammers at R&R stations and now Outpost. And CIG will eventually fix them in the same way that they did the others, with hangars replacing pads at Outpost, just like they now do at major landing zones and stations. And frankly, it will have to happen before cargo timers and cargo loading gets implemented on ground locations. But I will be admonished that they aren't being sadistic. They're being griefers. But guess what? That's not a word. The word is sadistic, which frankly describes their behavior quite exactly. So either take it up with Webster's or perhaps simply own the word. If you're such tough guys, then own what you are, and don't be such a crybaby. And now for the basic wisdom about being a trader that all traders should have learned a long time ago by now, but some haven't. First, never bet more on a run than you can afford to lose. Going all in looks dramatic in a movie or a TV show, but it is no way to run a business. Second, gold may be the highest price right now, but it is profit margin of only 27%, which is high, but not the highest. So if your risk threshold will only buy you a third of a load of gold, then go someplace else and buy a full load of something else that also pays 27%, say grecium or beryl or diamond or laranite. This relates to third. The best way to avoid pirates is to avoid where the pirates are. Pirates love camping at the gold locations only because that is where the richest traders, correctly, will be, but also because there are only 2 of them, SCD-1 on Daymar and SMO-18 on Microtech. It is easy for pirates to have somebody at both of them. However, diamonds are available at 8 locations and beryl at 9. That's harder to camp. But at the peak of profit is buying gold at one of these 2 stations. Filling up a C2 with gold cost over 4.12 million UEC, and selling it for over 5.24 million for a single run profit of 1.11 million UEC. So an extortion pirate will certainly think, hey, they'll be willing to pay a lot to not lose that. But remember, a trader doing that run already is rich enough to consider 4.13 million UEC to be an acceptable loss, or they wouldn't be doing it. There are already a lot of other ways that 4.13 million UEC trade run can go haywire. Piracy isn't even in the top 5, and most of those other top 5s aren't stopped whatsoever by having escorts. You're taking a bunch of money from that 1.1 million of profit that isn't going to change most of the commonest ways of losing the 4.13 million UEC investment. Which brings me about hiring protection at all. How do you know how much is enough? If you don't hire enough, then you've lost it all anyway, just as if you'd hired none. So having looked at this, let me try to answer the question that HamineroSauce didn't, and that is whether there is a viable business model for being an anti-pirate. Yes, and in fact there are two. One is suited for high-value locations, such as the gold outpost, and the other is appropriate for more general protections on the scale of a planet or moon. The first is contracted outpost security. On a gold run, the point of really substantial risk is the approach, buying, and departure of the mining outpost. So instead of having fighters following you around all the time where risk is minimal, have your trade org make a contract with the Merc org for, let's say, 400,000 UEC per hour paid quarter hourly to prevent any hostile activity at, say, SMO 18. Also, if at any time the outpost isn't safe, let us know and we will wait before approaching. The Merc org's job is to keep the place peaceful for when trade ships arrive. So no creating unnecessary conflict. Let other traders arrive and say that we're paying for security because we're nice guys and they can voluntarily contribute if they wish. It might be tempting to become gatekeepers and toll takers, but how are you then really any different than the extortion pirates at that point? And becoming gatekeepers and toll takers is likely to distract from readiness for when hostile pirates arrive and reduce the real objective of keeping the profit from the outpost safe and peaceful. The advantage of this approach is that the contractor security assures that the place is safe before arriving, and you don't have to worry much about whether you have hired enough security to do the job, because if it isn't enough, they will already let you know to warn you away. And during dull times, the contract and Merc org can conduct exercises, do training, whatever. The second business model is the Emergency Pirate Response and Recovery Team, or EPRRT. In this model, the Merc org informs the trader orgs that on this day and this time we will be conducting operations around, say, Crusader. Coordinate with us on Discord to get to the same server, and then if you need help, give us a holler and we'll drop whatever we're doing and get there ASAP. The advantage of this system is that if there are no pirates at the date and time, the Merc org is just going to do bounties like they otherwise would, and the traders don't have to pay anything for the extra sense of security. Now, as some pirates pointed out when I suggested something like this before, it would be unlikely that the trader could delay defeat long enough for the assistance to arrive. And that is absolutely true. But that is the purpose of the second R in the EPRRT, recovery. They arrive before the pirates can loot much, secure the site, and protect and assist while the owner recovers their cargo, and conduct further salvage on the ship hull and components. Remember that a cargo hasn't truly been lost until the trader has given up on or can't recover it, and the cargo is much more valuable to the original owner than the pirate, since the owner, or anyone in their party, can sell it full price, rather than at a no-questions-asked terminal. This could result in a back-and-forth bit of emerging gameplay between the competing sides, which would count as fun all around. Now, how would the EPRRT get paid? Essentially, they would agree on a percentage of what was recovered, or, in the large text of Lloyd's open forum, no cure, no pay. Now, I'm guessing that there may be other business models, and you're welcome to suggest them in the comments. But the fundamental thing is that the business model has to be both profitable and fun for both the traders and the mercs if there are pirates and if there aren't. Only after you've come up with that kind of business model can you then ask the question of whether it's worth it for traders to arrange for protection. Now for an update on our giveaways. There's the CitzenCon themed Dream Video Editing Contest for the Elgato Stream Deck XL, the invaluable creator peripheral. See the link video in the description for my details on that. And then the ship giveaways. We have our 10,000 subscriber, now close to 13. Thank you for the LTI Hull C, the Colossal Cargo Container Carrying Craft, or $100 of Steam Store credit, to be given away when the C goes live, now scheduled for 3.20 and on track, and the big annual IAE Week giveaway for your choice of either the Galaxy Complete, that massive module mining moving medical machine, or the brand new big box bargain bazaar called the Merchantman, or again, $100 of Steam Store credit. Just be a member and be entered automatically, or subscribe and comment using the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the word that isn't a word. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.